Council of the City of Nanaimo for Monday, August the 10th, 2009. And I'd like to call the meeting to order and start off with the introduction of late items. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. Add item 6D, delegations pertaining to items on the agenda. Mr. Danny Marfisi and Mr. Bob Boyko regarding the staff report for LA39 entertainment endorsement for a food primary liquor license at Manzavino Restaurant and Pizzeria, 77 Skinner Street. Add item 6E, delegations pertaining to items on the agenda. Ms. Kathy Davis and Mr. James Cunningham regarding Busking Month in Nanaimo. Add item 6F, delegations pertaining to items on the agenda. Mr. Fred Taylor regarding the staff report for ZA1-11 park zoning. Delete item 8E, proclamations, Sea Otter Awareness Week. Replace pages 151 and 152 staff reports, DVP 147, 5912 Wallbank Road. Delete item 11I, unsightly premises, 21 Halliburton Street. Add item 13B, reconsideration of bylaws, zoning bylaw amendment bylaw 2008, number 4000.447, and delete item 20A, delegations pertaining to items not on the agenda, Captain Brad McRobert.
Thank you very much. Could I ask for adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Seconder, moving second, all in favor? Carried. Ask for adoption of the minutes, please.
Move the minutes.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Delegations pertaining to agenda items. You have up to 10 minutes. And the first delegation, Mr. Mike Gogo. Mr. Gogo, you're here? So for our viewing audience and those listening, Mr. Gogo, if we could just get your name and address for the file, please.
Never write Michael Terrence Gogo, 2625 South Forks Road, Nanaimo.
Okay, you might bend that microphone up just slightly and then you don't have to crouch too much. There you go. Good.
I think there's a problem with my belly and the thing here. Anyhow, we'll make an adjustment.
Looks good.
Okay, now, one thing I'd like to just talk about very quickly is, we are a farm since 1897. I think everybody's read my presentation, have they? Okay, so we're a farm. And at one time, of course, the old grandpa, he did the milk and the butter and the cheese and the eggs and the beef and the apples and all the rest of it. But now we have been since 1929 Christmas trees. But the federal government tells me we are, in fact, a farm for all purposes. Provincial government give us a 100-year farm certification. And, that's what we are, as a farm. And I don't really see what it makes any difference whether we come down and sell cherries or berries or strawberries or tomatoes. And the city generously and thoughtfully has found a place for the farmers to sell their produce in different places like Bowen Park, and not Bowen Park, but where they have the annual exhibition. That's good. I approve of it. And maybe I could be directed to the people in charge of that, and maybe in the future we could sell our farm product there, not in the summer, but at Christmas time. And if others that are in the same business would like to set up their little lots next to ours, that would be wonderful. We don't mind competition. And just an idea I'd like to throw out there, because it's tons and tons of parking. It's money for the city. It's a good, safe area for the children to walk around in, and I would like to pursue that. I've been thinking about that as an alternative in the coming years. Now, one of the big problems we've had in the past is establishing a tree lot. It takes a long time for people to know where you are and everything like that. It takes a long time. We had two really bad experiences. My father had a very bad experience with Simpson Sears years ago here, and we had a very bad experience with the co-op. And now, keep in mind that my father was number 87. He was the 87th person to sign up for the co-op when Rod Glenn started it, and I was 639. So we've been at it from day one. But I must tell you this, because this is what could happen. We were selling trees at all the co-ops for years and years and years, and it was wonderful. We had one complaint from one person in all that time. And 1 year, I guess I'm just guessing, whenever, so many years ago. I talked to the manager, and at the time, Jack Nixon was his name, and this is all a matter of record. And about a week before we're going to start selling trees, I said, Jack, we got bigger and better trees than ever, and my mandate to them was to sell at the co-op, to bring people in, a bigger, fresher tree than the competitors in Nanaimo. And we believe in the co-op movement. Well, I found out that he had gone to the staff of the store and said if they don't accept this certain wage that we're offering, that I would bring in all my people and not only sell trees there like we did every year, but we'd take over virtually the whole store. Well, I didn't know anything about this, and I found out, and I questioned a half a dozen staff members. I said, is this really true? And they said, it is. And I thought, oh, this is terrible. So we had to go, and this is really serious stuff, in a town like this. So we had a meeting with the directors of the co-op, and they told me they knew nothing about it. Mr. Nixon admitted that he had done this. The co-op said they're really embarrassed, we're really sorry. You name the amount, we'll write you a check. I said, the amount of the check is nothing. We're believers in that movement, but it's been abused, and this is going to injure our reputation with a lot of these people. It doesn't matter that it wasn't true. It doesn't matter that we didn't know about it. 20 years down the road, they're going to say, oh yeah, well, those scabby go-go's come out, and they were going to knock off all these union people. So we didn't like that, so we went down to Pride Street, and most of our stuff followed. I bought that house in Pride Street for only one reason, and that is to sell Christmas trees. That's what we bought it for. And our big problem is, just like last year, really shows it. We had a tremendous amount of snow there, and it just came overnight, and then people can't get out there, and our whole year's retail can be ruined just with one big snowfall. We get much more, as you can appreciate, out there than we do here. So the reason was one thing that we did operate a little longer, or let's say we started a little earlier last year, because we've got a lot of charity groups now. An example is there was a family in the Noose, and a gentleman got cancer, and he had his own little business, so he didn't have anything to fall back on. And they were, really destitute for paying their taxes and carrying on with the family. So the people up there at the school board got together, and he put on a big benefit for buying the trees there, and the money goes to this fellow. So we give him the trees at our cost, which is $10. We delivered them up there, and I was afraid, after, over 55 years I have in the business, you get a sixth sense about the weather. And I thought, some reason tells me we're going to take a hammering. So we brought all their stuff in early so that we can make sure that we can transport it up there on the day that we're going to have this big sale for this destitute family. So that's why we started a little early last year. And of course, you can't just leave it till the last minute and then tell them, saying, listen, our heart's with you, but I'm sorry we can't deliver the trees after several hundred families are going to show up for this big event. So that's why we had the trees in there early this last year. And to my way of thinking, nothing comes in front of a project like that. Nothing should come in front of that. Now, I did go to every neighbor, north, south, east, and west, and I got letters from all the people. I asked them if they had any objection. They said no. I said, would you like to say that? Could I ask you to say that? And I hate asking people for that, knocking on doors and do that. But I did my due diligence, and I went around to everybody, and the only person that didn't like it was the complainant. And her and I had a 20-minute conversation. It wasn't like it was uncivil or anything like that. But there is just 4 little points that I'd like to make about the conversation. One of them was they were a little upset with me because apparently I had evicted some tenants I had there some years ago, and according to her, these tenants had worked for her husband erecting signs and that in the real estate business. Well, I found out for a fact that these 2 brothers that were in there were dealing drugs, and I threw them out. When I say threw them out, that's what I did. So they weren't happy with the way I treated them. The other thing is, when I asked her what was the biggest problem, she told me that when she goes to back out on the street, there always seems to be a bus coming. I don't know what I can do about that. And the other one is, just to mention that, we opened earlier than ever. And, I would like to say, and I hesitate to say that, according to neighbors, every year they have an annual meeting at the apartment next door, and this couple attends, which is their right in the neighborhood, and they're always trying to get a lady across from me, who's a very pleasant lady, I talked to her, get her little home business shut down. She has a little hairdressing thing, and she's a licensed person. And apparently up the road, there's a man that has the audacity to park his taxi in his yard at night. So they want him shut down, and of course ourselves. And I've gone to all the neighbors, there's no objection. And if it had been getting bigger and bigger every year, I'd say that it definitely is a concern. Nobody wants a traffic jam. Apparently there was 2 serious accidents on the corner of Pride and Bowen today. A lot of traffic. And of course, for us, a lot of traffic means a lot of exposure. Now, we would like time to tell all our customers about our ideas, about the coming years, and we'd like to be able to get some direction from the city and their staff about the possibility of using Bowen, because of that time of the year, I don't think it's very busy. I don't think there's too many events there. There's lots of parking, and over in the exhibition thing, maybe that's a really good spot in the future, but we have to make that transition like this and not like this. And, we've been building that up. We've had it since 1980, I believe, and I bought that, and I paid a lot of money for that property. Real estate was very high then. And we just did $45,000 worth of improvements on it, including the lot of water comes off the school grounds above there. It just comes off there, and of course there's no allowance for it. There was no proper ditching then, and it comes down, lands in our yard. So we did a big ditching and cooperated with the city on a place to drain it off into a thing. So spent a lot of money there. And this last year we really cleaned it up.
Let me just tell you, you got a minute left, and what we really are trying to do is find out how we can reduce the traffic flow in that area. And I know we've got one councillor already. Councillor Patchy has a question for you too. But we should try to use the last few minutes of your time, actually the last minute of your time, to try to deal with the issue of volume. Each year there's going to be a larger and larger and larger volume.
It just isn't, though. It isn't getting larger. If you look at the last 10 years, it's not getting larger. It's actually getting smaller.
It's about 1,500 trees a year?
No, it's averaging, if you look at the report, I think averages 1,423, and we've had years, 7 years ago we had 1,650, I think was our biggest year. It's not getting bigger. I wish it was getting bigger, but the fact is it's not.
Okay.
But I would like to deflect the traffic, and that's what I mean by in the future, to say, okay, let's get something going out on the exhibition grounds or wherever it is. There's lots of room, and it's some money for the city, and it's a place. But we need a home. We need something. We don't need something. We're not Roma. We want to have a home, and so that we can keep the business going. This is our 5th generation on this property.
Okay, that's our 10 minutes. There are some questions for you. One of the concerns we have is that whenever you get involved with city-owned property for a commercial venture, it has challenges. It's as simple as that. But let's start. We've got several people who would like to ask some questions, and the first is Councillor Patchy. Councillor Patchy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Hello, Mr. Goebel.
Hello.
You described your business as a farm, a family farm. What you sell at Pride Avenue, does all that produce come from that farm?
Some years 100%, some years not.
Could you be more specific?
Well, okay, some years was 100%, and some years we have problems with it. There's not enough trees, or some charity groups really want something at the last minute. And I have a place in Oregon, and it's a partnership with one of the senators of Oregon. And so some years I bring some fir down there, and they bring some noble up here, so the customers get a good mix.
Just to get a bit of a better idea, though, would you be able to give a percentage? Let's just take last year for an example. How many trees would have come from Oregon last year?
I'd say 30%.
30%, okay. The other question I have for you is, I'm really glad to hear from you that you are willing to look at going somewhere else, because it seems to be becoming a bit problematic the bigger you are going to get on that particular location. You said you bought the house on Pride Avenue in order to sell Christmas trees.
That's what I did, because it's a great big lot and a really small house.
Okay, so you would consider that a home business?
Well, I don't know what legally I consider. I considered it mine after I bought it in 1980, and nobody said a word about any objections for 20 years. And it just isn't getting bigger. It simply is not getting bigger. You can stand there if you want and count the cars, and you'll find out it's not this year and next year, and you'll come to the conclusion it's not getting bigger. But there could be a potential traffic thing there, and that's why I'd like to find something in the future.
Okay. You've answered the question. Thank you very much.
Okay. But don't forget, There's two statistics here that you may have escaped you. One of them, and I'm not trying to be political here, but 49% of the people in Nanaimo didn't want this building built. Didn't stop it from being built. And if one person can have someone recalled, as much as I love all you guys and respect you and the job you do, if I object to everybody here, why can't I recall you? There's only one person. We're only talking one person here. Thank you.
Don't go away. We've got some more questions for you. The next one is Councillor Holdham.
Thank you, Your Worship. I also am glad to hear that you're willing to explore alternative sites, and the Bevan Park site, the exhibition grounds, sounds like an interesting possibility. And so, in general, you're willing to explore with staff the relocation to other possible sites in the future, are you?
Well, I'm not trying to be cheeky, but it was my idea, you know.
Yes, that's a good
idea.
idea.
But I've been thinking a lot. I have contacted several other people along Bowen Road that in places that are established, but it was all about them. They want to do some promotion where they're trying to sell some gadget, and we're not in the gadget business. Yeah. If we can't sell a better product than the next person, we don't go into that business.
Okay. I just want to acknowledge that your business license is based upon a home-based business use that is legal but non-conforming, right? And it's because of the seasonal and short-term nature of it. I remember when you came several years ago to get that temporary license, and that's the basis on which you're operating now. There are this problem of traffic in the area. You're willing, are you, to provide some off-street parking for customers?
Yes, this last year we cleaned the whole place up. Everything, all the old stands were all thrown out. Everything's new and portable. It'll go up, and then when the day the sales are over, it'll go down. And we can accommodate, right now, we can accommodate about 8 cars safely in there. And we always, on every weekend, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, we have a experienced fellow that has a high visibility vest, and he makes sure cars are parked properly, helps people put the trees in, especially with the lady, and directs them onto the road when they're doing that. And I recently had a conversation with the bylaw people, and they said they had noted that and appreciated that.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Councillor Unger.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for the record, you said Bowen Park. I believe you meant Bevan Park.
Bevan, I was getting mixed up.
Yeah, thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
Councillor Beswick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Mr. Gogo. Just 2 questions. Your dates of operation and your estimate of hours of operation.
Well, I would say the date, and like I say, when we have these charity groups, I just hate to leave something up in the mountain until the last minute because it could cost them their whole season. And that, to some people, that's a matter of great urgency when they've done all this organizing and they're trying to do it for charity, and they're all doing it for nothing. So I would say that let's make it this way, from the 4th to the 24th. And the reason I say that is there's a lot of last-minute people come along and they want a tree, and last-minute people, and we don't like to just put a sign up saying sold out. We like to give them service right up to the 24th. And the hours, John here, my son-in-law, and my daughter, who have run it very ably for years, would you like to say what your proposed, I believe they are?
9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And when you say the 4th, I assume that means December the 4th?
December 4th to 24th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Johnstone.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Gogo, if you're going to have a 3-week operation this year, based on your stats of last year, approximately 1,423 sales for the season, that would be about 70 sales per day?
No, because about 300 to 400 of those trees are for charity groups. They're just being on hold for the day they need them.
Okay.
So the actual net sales would be just a little over 1,000.
Over 1,000, okay. And I also like your idea of perhaps pursuing going into Bevan Park, and perhaps you could consult with Chair McNabb with the Parks Commission to see if you could make an appointment to come and visit the Parks Commission and make your proposal.
Yeah, His Honor said, and I think I quote that there could be a lot of problems with bureaucracy and things like that, but let's put it this way. I'm half of the deal if we're partners. You're the other half. I can take care of my end. If you guys can take care of yours, we'll have a good partnership.
Okay, we have Councillor McNabb.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mike, maybe it's a little far-fetched, but you have people living in that house, do you not?
Beg your pardon?
You have people living in the house?
We have a single mother working, how do you like that? Single mother in Nanaimo working, very good job, very nice, responsible party. We just completely cleaned the whole place out, did it all nice and new, and providing her with free firewood for her and her family for the year.
I was just wondering if it's possible. Do you think that you could take appointments for people to come there? Say, okay, you can come here at 9 o'clock and you can come here at 10, and do you think that's possible?
No, it just is, no. You know what I'll give a quick little story here. People, I always tell them on Saturdays I'm open from 7 till noon. And I always say, listen, I'll meet you there at 9 o'clock. And they start coming at 7, they come at 12:30. So that's what happens, you try to organize them. A committee, a camel is actually a horse put together by a committee. So you just can't organize people.
Okay. I think that's all. I think I'm kind of heartened by the idea that you want to negotiate another site, because I think what you've got there is challenging to the neighborhood. And I do respect the fact that I think you've done what you can do to try to mitigate the interference in the community and the traffic patterns and so on. But we have to come up with something in a better idea. And you know, if I could just ask if you want to touch base with City, and certainly Councillor McNabb is actually chairman of Parks and Rec, and there might be an option there. I know other suggestions have been made, and I think it might have been Councillor Padgett that made a suggestion earlier about whether there be a mall location that you might be able to sit with. We're not able to give you advice on how to run a business, and I'm not trying to attempt to do that right now. I'm just suggesting there are other alternatives, and we're hoping that you'll take the time to explore as many as you can for us.
Yeah, we just don't want to spend another 30 years and do a dead end again. It's just too hard to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next delegation we have is Mr. Rolf Schild. Mr. Schild, are you here, sir? And you also have the same 10 minutes. And I would also ask you to provide us with your name and address for the file, please.
Okay, my name is Rolf Schild, and I live at 1588 Bush Street, right across from Mr. Gogo's house at 55 Pride Avenue. Now I'm going to tell you my side of the story. I've been there for nearly 30 years, and all I can say is in regards to Mr. Gogo's purchase of the house. When he purchased the house, he stated in a letter to the city of Nanaimo in '93 that it was bought with the expressed intentions of starting up a Christmas sale deal there, irrespective of the bylaw zoning, which basically prohibited retail sales in that area. And he wasn't going to go throw away 13 years of hard work. Anyway, he started selling without license, and from what I understand, without getting city approval, till in '93. The city finally went after him, and there was a massive exchange of correspondence between the city development department and Mr. Gogo to try to sort this out. Then the development department came up with the sort of temporary solution of creating a legally non-conforming exception for him, or an attachment to the bylaw at that time.
Excuse me, Mr. Schilfrin, can I interrupt you just for a sec? Do you want to take advantage of these? These are your slides, I believe, that are on there?
Yeah.
Do you want to let the people know?
While I'm talking, I only have 10 minutes. They can see.
Okay, well then you're not getting much advantage of your pictures if you're not explaining what they're about.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
It's your choice. Please, carry on. You don't need to discuss it.
Okay, let me try to give me the first 5 minutes, and the second 5 minutes I will explain the pictures.
Okay,
is that okay?
Yep.
All right.
I'm quite happy.
So anyway, they got this, and what the development department used was I believe the Municipality Act. They found a few loopholes. Anyway, they came to some sort of an agreement with Mr. Gogo that he could sell his Christmas trees there, okay, under the exemption of legally non-conforming. But that wasn't meant to be given in perpetuity. That was only a temporarily the correspondence, and the paperwork attached to that indicates that, okay? Well, anyway, It was so-so. I would say you could live with it. You didn't like it because it always created some commotion. Then there were two young guys who run this for Mr. Gogo. They were his tenants and they run it, and they did a reasonably good job in terms of controlling the traffic, and they had a pretty good grip on the situation even when it got busy on the weekend. They only had one little drawback. They also pushed and peddled contrabands on the side and right in front of the police who stopped.
Yeah, I think you need to be very careful about making statements that you can't...
Anyway, and then then the traffic, as the picture of Pride and Bush Street changed, it became a major feeder route. Bus transit came on the road. There was now the secondary suite bylaw was introduced, so we had a density in there of population and what have you. The picture changed, and also it got a lot busier on the corner of Mr. Gogo there with the Christmas tree sale. And when Mr. Gogo, about 3 or 4 years ago, his family, his son, his daughter, and his son-in-law took over, it took the real dive for the worst. There was no traffic control, irrespective of the people you see running around in those vests, because they usually only came on the road to help people to load their Christmas tree on the truck or in their vehicles, okay? And when you said something, okay, and you were trying to reason with them, okay, you got the salute. That was the communication his son-in-law communicated with. But anyway, the parking situation became atrocious because they parked on the sidewalks, they parked in front of the yellow lines, they parked in front of fire hydrant. They impeded the traffic because they use the roads now as loading dock to load the Christmas tree on there, okay? You will see on the pictures that the bus can barely get through. They impeded the emergency vehicles like ambulance, fire truck, and police cars. And they just don't give a who and a how. It's just, never mind your own business. And it starts during the week from 9 to 9. On the weekends, and there's about 4 or 5 weekends involved, it starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and it goes till 9 o'clock in the evening. The music is cranked up, ghetto blasters with so-called Christmas music. I am not against Christmas. I'm not even against the Christmas tree sale. I'm just, the location where it is now is simply too dangerous now. There is a lot of kids living, like in Madrona Park Complex. There's a lot of single moms with kids. They walk down to the 7-Eleven or to the bus stop. These kids have to walk out on the street surrounding the parking cars to get there where they want to go. This is a busy street that is dangerous, and that's all there is to it. So far, nothing serious has happened. But that is just playing with the dice, because sooner or later something serious will happen there, okay? You will see when you see the pictures what I'm talking about. In any case, he has been there for 30 years nearly. I have been there for 30 years, Mr. Gogo, since 1980, whatever. I think he had all the benefits possible from this area, okay? Because what he does, he sort of deprives the neighborhood every year for about 5 to 6 weeks of their legal right of quiet peace and enjoyment. Okay, we don't have that. And I don't see Mr. Gogo's whipping the checkbook out and reimburse us for 1/12 of the tax we're paying because he robs of that enjoyment. We have a legal right to that. Furthermore, when City Hall gave him this so-called legal non-conforming, they also sent a dangerous precedent. They created actually 2 classes of citizens all of a sudden. On one side is a business interest for the sake of this money. On the other side is the citizen's right, who pays the bulk of the city tax in this area, to get robbed of his legal right of peace and quiet enjoyment. And, when you go that road, you also open up the city potentially to a liability down the road if something ever seriously happens. In that traffic chaos he creates every year for about 5 to 6 weeks. It takes him a week to just get ready for the Christmas tree sale. And that is the week where you hear the banging and the screaming and the yelling and the cursing and the swearing. When it then in the power source, and when it finally starts, the power source goes all day long. You know, the parking is atrocious. They park in their driveway. They park anywhere where they're not supposed to, because I don't know where he parks these 8 vehicles, because they're all parked on the road, period. You know, and when he, with the parking situation, it obstructs the regular flow of the traffic. It is, even his own customers are in danger. He doesn't even guarantee them their safety because they're running all over the road. You know, there comes a point when enough is enough. And he had now since '93, whenever this took place with the city, up to now, he had a pretty clean free run there, because it doesn't cost him anything to operate from there, because he owns the property, and plus the property is rented out. I'll only give him one brownie point on this whole mess, is that as of January the 1st, he finally cleaned the place up, and he has actually some decent tenant in there. But before, we had group homes there, squealing and screaming, young kids, so-called young adults, facing challenges. And on we go. There was rarely ever somebody decent in that house, and we had to put up with that during the year.
We're still dealing with the Christmas tree issue, so let's stick to that. We're dealing with the sale of Christmas trees. That's what we want to deal with.
I think the time has come that Mr. Gogo should, I have nothing against this Christmas tree sale. It's a good community effort and what have you. But I think he should go on a property which is legally zoned for commercial, light commercial C4. And on Bowen Road, there are several properties available where he can actually relocate himself nicely, so that's not very far away from it. And then give us, after we have sacrificed for nearly 20 years our peace and quiet enjoyment, that we're going to get that back for the next 20 years. Okay? He still has a nice property there where he can build a duplex, and that is still a nice revenue property for him. But I think the Christmas tree has run his gamut, because he's simply not any more welcome with his record. And especially when his son-in-law took it over. He has absolutely no PR whatsoever.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all.
Before you go, have you just about run out of time, but we have some questions for you first.
Yeah, okay.
And Councillor Patchy is the first one.
Yes.
Thank you, Worship. My question is to staff. When you hear Mr. Schild describe the term legally non-conforming in perpetuity, what does that mean to you?
Keep worshiping. You'll be along
Your
this.
Worship.
Yeah.
Through to Councillor Padgett, the term legal non-conforming is not actually a loophole. It's a allowance in the Local Government Act that if a business exists at the time a bylaw in the municipality changes, that business can continue in perpetuity as long as it does not expand beyond its current operation.
Okay. And then one question, if I may, Your Worship, to Mr. Schild. You've heard the conversation that we've had with Mr. Gogo. He is willing to consider other options, and the city, I'm sure, is willing to assist him in that. What kind of comfort do you get from that?
Well, if Mr. Gogo would commit himself to a reasonable time frame when he intends to do that, but not something to drag out every year. I haven't found a suitable property yet, and drag it out another 5, 6 years or 10 years, okay? He should be then committing himself to a certain time frame by when he will do that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, if I could just ask a question myself. When Mr. Gogo was up, he mentioned that he was looking at sales from the 4th of December to the 24th of December, from 9 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the evening. Is that satisfactory to you?
From when was that? From 9 o'clock?
From on December 4 to December 24, starting at 9 a.m. and ending at 8 p.m. Is that satisfactory to you?
Well, it depends how he addresses the traffic situation. That's a major issue in the sale. You see, when he starts up, usually toward the end of November, when he starts a sale, the sale, it starts slowly up, because people usually wait till the second week, until December, till they really start rushing in and get their Christmas trees, and that's when the problem comes in, and mostly, very seriously, on the weekend. It is bad enough during the week, but it's really very, very bad during the weekend.
Yeah. What we're trying to do is find resolution. Yeah. We're trying to find solutions how we can reach some kind of a satisfactory understanding. And I just have one question to staff, and that is, when this property was was purchased in 1980, I believe, there was no home-based requirement at that point. The bylaw allowed him to operate as a Christmas tree, as a home business. And when did it change? Approximately what year did it change?
Your Worship, I believe the report from staff authorizing the non-conforming use is attached to the report, and I believe it was in 1993.
Okay, so I mean, the reason is I believe the gentleman suggested it was some 3 years later, but it was about 13 years later when that was invoked. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, we have Councillor Holdham.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a brief point, kind of tangential, but to your presentation. But when you were referring to the tenants of the house and seemed to imply that children with challenges are not decent people, you didn't mean to say that, did you?
Well, shall we put it this way, group homes.
Yes, and you didn't mean that those are not decent people, did you?
No, they may have been decent people,
Okay,
but they
thank
also
you.
cause
Thank
a
you.
lot of problems and interruption in the neighborhood.
That's fine, sir.
That was
Okay, Councillor Kipp.
No, my point was answered earlier, but I'd just like to say it sounds like the start of a good Christmas market.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it has the ability to go somewhere positive, and I think we can work with Mr. Gogo and Mr. Shield, and like I say, I like Diana's idea of a nice Christmas market somewhere. It might work out really well. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Unger.
Move to receive the delegation.
Okay, moved and second, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, the next delegation is Ms. Maureen Pilcher. And Ms. Pilcher, you're... Oh, there, already. Okay.
I'm already here. I'll need it down lower here.
Okay, but we do need your name and address for the file, as usual.
Good evening, Your Worship, Mayor Rattan, members of council, members of staff, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maureen Pilcher, and I'm a land use consultant in the Central Vancouver Island area. I have been asked to speak this evening in opposition to an application for extended liquor service hours and entertainment at 77 Skinner Street, Manzavino's restaurant. Much time and money has been spent over the last decade striving to revitalize the downtown Nanaimo area. The number of completed studies, bylaws, guidelines, strategies, and reports is impressive, and it is becoming evident that the vision is becoming a reality. The downtown core is once again a vibrant, diverse, and welcoming area of Nanaimo, highlighting our beautiful waterfront and our unique downtown streets. People want to move here, where they can live, work, shop, and play without reliance on automobiles, and where they feel safe and secure. In preparing for this meeting, I noted that each one of these downtown Nanaimo studies, strategies, and reports spoke to the perception that the downtown area may be unsafe. The Coriolis Downtown Marketing Strategy states, the downtown has a concentration of nighttime entertainment uses that may be perceived as sources of noise or other concerns. An assessment of downtown Nanaimo's opportunities for revitalization indicates that this perception will damage the district's opportunity for residential and business development strategies. In 2005, new zones were implemented for the downtown core to further implement the downtown vision. This property, 77 Skinner Street, is in the C28 Chapel Front Zone, which states that emphasis should be placed on achieving development that is compatible with neighbouring development with respect to streetscape character, open spaces, view retention, sunlight access, and privacy. Clearly, the intent of the zone is to provide for higher residential density with compatible uses, office, retail, and cultural uses that will not negatively impact the neighbouring residential properties. The C24 zone, the core zone, just down the road, is indicated in the zoning bylaw as the area of downtown that can best accommodate a mix of uses and where residents expect to live in an environment where clubs, cultural and entertainment uses and shopping exist compatibly. This is the area best suited to late-night venues. The Nanaimo Downtown Plan, which forms part of the official community plan, encourages a lively mix of uses in this area. In 2003, the city also passed a liquor control strategy for Nanaimo, which devotes an entire chapter to liquor control in downtown Nanaimo and identifies those issues that are of particular importance to the downtown core. Of all the problems identified, concerns over public disorder were found to be the most critical. The public disturbances in the downtown core cause, or at least contribute to, the widely held perception of downtown Nanaimo as an unsafe and unappealing area. The liquor control strategy identified that controlling the hours of liquor service could address some of the public disorder in downtown Nanaimo, and clearly recommends that Council not endorse any extensions to liquor service hours for food primary licensed establishments. And that's a quote from the liquor control strategy. This restaurant is already situated in close proximity to a high concentration of liquor primary and food primary establishments. Is there a need for another late-night restaurant/club in this vicinity? Manzavinos has only operated at this location for a very few months, and there have already been a number of negative incidents associated with it. This property was the subject of an unsightly premise report, which was brought to Council in May. The owner did not appear, did not clean up the property, and city forces have since done so. The garbage container for the restaurant is located at the front of the building and is often unkempt, and the weeds around the building have been allowed to grow out of control. The other establishments on the street, both commercial and residential, take pride in their city frontages, and they feel that this lack of maintenance may well be indicative of the establishment's management practices. The restaurant previously at this location was also problematic, and the police have attended this establishment 7 times in the past year. The RCMP have noted in their comments to Council that the inclusion of an entertainment endorsement and an extension of liquor hours could eclipse the primary purpose of the restaurant, which should be to serve food. Gina's restaurant, which has operated in this block for many years, has never caused concern in the neighborhood, and they operate a very successful restaurant, which closes at 10 p.m. The residents in this area are pleased to see commercial diversity in the downtown core, but they have already experienced problems with the previous restaurant and do not want to see the problems get worse with extended liquor service hours and entertainment at this location. The owner of Manzavinos has provided an outline of the types of entertainment planned and assurance that food service will remain the primary function, while also requesting an extension of liquor service hours. In his letter, the owner states that he will offer music for dancing, which brings to mind a 3-piece band and people gliding over a small dance floor. What if the entertainment is actually heavy metal rock music with a throbbing dance beat? How will the city limit the nature of the entertainment provided to that outlined in the owner's letter? This restaurant is housed in an older building with no insulation and no air conditioning. The building is situated within 5 feet of the neighboring building, and that is predominantly residential. And the properties here slope dramatically down to Cliff Street, where the sound tends to bounce off the buildings and echo back up the slope. The owner's letter of assurance does not mention how he intends to address the neighborhood concerns. Will there be increased security? Will there be staff at the door monitoring the entry and exit of guests? Will the management be reminding guests to respect the rights of the people living and hopefully sleeping in the neighborhood? Will noise attenuation measures be taken? None of these concerns have been addressed by the owner in his letter, and all will be difficult for the city to control if the extension of service hours and entertainment license is granted. How will this establishment contribute positively to the development of downtown Nanaimo? Municipal politicians, the business community, and police forces look for the balance of encouraging downtown vibrancy while still maintaining an environment that is welcoming to everyone. That can be a tough act, and some of the continuing challenges of downtown attest to that fact. Over the last few years, Council has spent an impressive amount of time and effort on the revitalization of the downtown core, and we are just starting to see the positive impacts. There is great interest in further development of a unique downtown. We must be diligent when making decisions regarding land use in the downtown. We have the objectives, guidelines, and policies in place, and we must focus on supporting these goals to build on our successes. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your questions.
Okay, are there any questions of the delegation? Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. Just one quick question to Ms. Pilcher. Hello.
Hi.
How many residents or owners do you represent?
I represent the owner, through to your worship,
yes.
To Mr. Patchy, I represent the owner of the 2 buildings immediately to the north, and there are presently 9 residential units and 1 commercial unit in those buildings.
Thank you.
What was she do?
Okay, moved and seconded. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, madam. The next delegation is going to be Mr. Danny Marfisi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Rob Boyko. Again, if you would introduce your name and address for the file, and again, you also have up to 10 minutes.
Hi, my name is Rob Boyko, and my address is 650 Franklin Street in Nanaimo.
Okay.
We don't want to have an adversarial process here at all. We appreciate the suite's concerns, and they're customers of ours on a very regular basis, as are some of their tenants. The big issue here is Manzavinos has been in operation in Nanaimo for almost 30 years. We moved 1 kilometer south to the downtown core a little over 5 months ago. We do have a late night food service, and we always have. We continue to be open till 3 a.m. Friday and Saturday night, serving food, and we can't serve liquor past midnight now. During the 5 months we've been there, despite I'll address the weeds concern, there have been no noise complaints lodged, and we've been open till 3 a.m. every day. Prior to this, when we were at 476 Terminal, which is in a much greater residential density neighborhood, we were open for many, many years till 3 a.m. on the weekends for food service with a 2 a.m. liquor service license, and there were no issues during the time that Mr. Marfisi owned it, and we believe there were no issues for several years preceding that. We don't have all the records going back beyond that. At the end of the day, this is a pizzeria, an Italian restaurant. We're not a very big establishment, and we have no interest in getting rid of our existing business, which is serving food. And we serve a great deal of constituents that live all over Nanaimo that are shift workers. They finish their shift. There's hospital workers, there are ferry workers, a variety of other shift-type jobs, including the hospitality business, front desk clerks, and things like that, who come in around midnight and want to eat. And we don't see anything wrong with the city granting us the maintaining of our previous right, which we had. And in fact, we're asking for less than what we previously had. We used to have the right to serve liquor till 2 a.m. every night except Sunday. And now we want the right to serve liquor until 1 a.m. Monday to Wednesday, and until 1:30 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All that said, there's a couple things that the previous delegation said that are inaccurate facts. I'd just like to address those. The building was significantly renovated approximately 4 years ago. There is significant insulation. There is air conditioning, despite what they said. And we believe that our proposed area of dancing, which is about 100 square feet in our 2,800 square foot facility, will not change the dynamic of our customers. Our customers are couples that want to go out for a late night dinner, and we'd like to be able to offer a jazz pianist or other type of dinner music, and the liquor board requires us to get permission to do that. So we're going through that process. We could certainly do it and have people complain about it and then deal with it, but we're not taking that approach. We're coming and saying, can we do this? And we'd like to work with the city and our neighbors on this issue. Lastly, if our garbage bin is located at the front of the building in terms of its street frontage, we didn't realize that was an issue. It was there prior to our occupying the site, and we have dealt with both the health inspector and the city in terms of moving our business license to that location and everything else, and nobody's brought that up. So if that's an issue, we're absolutely happy to sort out an enclosure of some kind to deal with a streetscape issue. With regard to the vandalism and graffiti, the unsightly complaint that was lodged in May, we leased the premises March 1st, and that graffiti existed prior to our occupying the facility. Our landlord refused to clean it up. Our landlord refused to remove old signs that we removed at our expense. So we were not aware that it was our obligation as a tenant to clean that up. It was a small patch of graffiti, literally about no more than half a meter long by about a third of a meter high, I guess, on one wall. And it was the city, I think, painted it. And we helped the person do that. So we believe we're good neighbors. We believe we offer a really valuable service to Nanaimo, and that is specifically that we are the only full-service restaurant that's open after 10 or 11 p.m. in the entire city. So our customer base wants someplace to go. We had the right to serve liquor till 2. We'd like the right to serve liquor till 1 early in the week and till 1:30 later in the week. And we think that's pretty reasonable, and we'd like to go from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have Councillor Bestwick. You're still on?
I'm still on. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you. I have 3 questions.
Sure.
How many seats are you licensed for?
We're licensed for 54 seats.
For 54 seats. And I'm curious, what type of, in your application, it's for patron participation entertainment.
Right.
Could you just explain what patron participation entertainment is?
If, under the Liquor Act, if you want to allow your customers to dance, any kind of dancing, that's participation entertainment. Karaoke is another example of that. So if we want to have a jazz pianist and have couples dancing, like 8 couples dancing, we have to have a participation license to do so. So the Liquor Board has to amend our existing license to allow for that. Our license at Terminal allowed for that. However, in moving to the new location, the Liquor Board suggested that we take over the existing license at 77 Skinner, and now we're applying to amend that license to match our old license.
Thank you. And a third question. You mentioned in the beginning part of your statement that you're currently serving till 2 or 3 in the morning.
No,
did I hear you say that?
Well, we serve food till 3 o'clock in the morning.
And you stop
Friday
selling
and Saturday, liquor at midnight.
At midnight, 7 days a week?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just have a question. You're going to keep your original location as well? Or are you going
No, we've closed that location and moved the business
okay,
to
so
Skinner.
this is going to be the new location.
Yep.
Any other questions for the delegation? Second?
Second motion.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
The next delegation we have is Ms. Kathy Davis and Mr. James Cunningham. Welcome, sir. If we get your name and address for the file, and you have up to 10 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is James Cunningham from 227 Prideaux Street. It's my sister Kathy Davis from 2114 Lang Crescent. A couple of council meetings ago, we were advised to start a society for busking, and since then that's exactly what we have done. We have been incorporated with the BC government, and we have started our society, and it's called the Beat of the Street Society for buskers here in Nanaimo, and we have asked that the month of September be proclaimed as Busking Month in Nanaimo, and the reason for us doing that is because we are putting on a Buskers Festival on September the 5th at Matthew Sutton Park. What I would like to do is just let the citizens of Nanaimo know what the Society's Act is. The purpose of the Society is to promote street entertainment, sometimes called busking. The Beat of the Street Society shall create fundraising opportunities to foster community spirit in a positive way with the street entertainment community, the arts community, and the public at large. To raise awareness in our community to recognize that street entertainment can be a valid and vibrant contribution to arts and culture. To provide information to street entertainers, the public, and appropriate authorities about busking and the law, and to advocate for street entertainers to enjoy their right to freedom of expression and freedom of speech as ensured in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms Act. To endeavor to provide financial assistance to street entertainers in need. This may include assistance with legal issues and grants in aid to street entertainers who might become unable to work or need help with housing and food. And last, to strive towards creating a busking festival in Nanaimo, networking with appropriate partners, and fundraise through grants and sponsorship. And I will now hand the mic over to Kathy.
I'm really happy to be here today. I'd like to say that we elect city government to represent the community, and you are the voice of the citizens. It is your job, in partnership with city staff, to implement our city's vision. You have the power to change laws when it is necessary. You also have the power to foster other changes. When I first came before council almost 10 years ago, I was asking you for shelter for buskers. Today I come to you with my own umbrella, which is the Beat of the Street Society. Mr. McNabb taught me a great lesson when he said that buskers could not access funding because they were not a non-profit association. I hit the books and I learned how to form a society. I believe that associations foster community spirit, and non-profit societies are an important aspect of every community. I see street entertainment as a natural resource, yet untapped. When I look at the Edmonton Street Festival, I see tourists and business. Grand Prairie had 25,000 visitors at their one-day busking festival this year. The Vancouver Island Community College produces musicians, artists, and actors every year. We have a downtown that is an amphitheater. Our scenery is unrivaled anywhere, and the convention center and the Port Theatre should be used to promote all of our artists. Why not hire a busker, a painter, an actor? Have a roster of street entertainers for special events. Ask for a busker when you need free entertainment for good causes. This will give the street entertainers a sense of pride in their community. My biggest dream is to have Nanaimo become the busking festival location in Western Canada, the biggest busking festival. We intend to make this dream happen with buskers and for buskers. We are calling the Beat of the Street Society a vehicle for buskers for positive change. We will work towards funding for our projects. We might even ask you in November. For the moment, all we ask is for your support for the Beat of the Street Society Busking Festival on September the 5th. If you could proclaim September as Busking Month in Nanaimo, that would be an awesome handshake for us. Help us make positive change on the street and for the street. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no questions for the delegation, so...
Yes, I have...
Thank you very much.
Just don't go, but there is one. There's a late entry here from Councillor Beswick.
Thank you. Not a question, but simply I'd just like to commend you on your perseverance, and I would like to congratulate you on your initiative, and I wish you much success on your ambitious undertaking.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor.
Oh, we have one more. Now, Councillor Patchy.
Just a quick question on the society which you have formed. You keep using the word busker, which to me, rightly or wrongly, means someone who makes music, who's a musician. Does your society have room for people who are not musicians, but street entertainers in general?
Our society covers all street entertainment. That includes art on the sidewalk, that includes actors on the sidewalk, that includes jewelers, beaters, carvers. We want to be the life of the street. We want to make this a really positive thing for our city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, the last delegation we have is Mr. Fred Taylor. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think you did. Moved and seconded. Let's vote on it here. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Taylor.
Fred Taylor of 204 Emery Way, Nanaimo. Mayor Rattan and council members. I could see the first page here. British Columbia Power Commission, now BC Hydro, received permission to dispose of Westwood Lake property to the city of Nanaimo as parkland, and this is the actual document, and you'll see it's underlined in the first paragraph, Westwood Lake property. I understand the Westwood Lake properties have since been commonly known as Westwood Lake Park. For unknown reasons, some of the Westwood Lake Park property has been renamed Westwood Ravine Park. I asked Council on March 23, 2009 to correct the name. At second reading of Bylaw 4000-426, March 23, 2009, Councillor Holdham attempted to amend the bylaw to correct the name. The City Manager, Gerald Berry, agreed to consider the name correction included in the first and second reading of the bylaw so that no formal amendment was necessary. To date, the name correction has been ignored. I asked Council to direct the correct name of Westwood Lake Park be established on any remaining portions of 74RW and included in an amendment bylaw 400455, which is before the council for first and second readings tonight. And you can see on the screen now is the printout of the verbal conversation of March 23rd, 2009, where Mr. Barry agreed with Mr. Holdham, in my opinion, to consider the name changes that Mr. Holdham was attempting to amend the bylaw by. And if we can go back to the one file before that, that's, as you can see, this is one of the pages of all the properties that make up Westwood Lake Park. And the bottom part circled there is the part I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Move we see delegated.
Seconder? Move and second. All in favor? Carried. That concludes the delegations. The next item is item 7, Mayor's Report, and I'm actually kind of pleased to report that the Christian Children's Fund donations, we've received a letter from this Christian Children's Fund of Canada pointing out that Nanaimo ranks in the top 20 of the most generous cities in Canada to open its heart to support children in need around the world, and I think that's a very commendable thing. I now have the proclamations, and I think what I could, I'll just read through them, Ms. Harrison, then, and there's not all that many, 8A, that the month of September is Busking Month in Nanaimo, in the city of Nanaimo. B, that 2009 September 04 is the Day of the Sponsored Child in the city of Nanaimo. That 2009 September 09 is Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder International Awareness Day in the city of Nanaimo. And the final proclamation is D, that 2009 September 17th is National Family Dinner Night in the city of Nanaimo. So we'll move on to commission reports, and we'll deal with the Parks, Recreation and Culture Commission.
Move the minutes for June 24th.
Moved and second, all in favor? Votes carried. Move into Development Services, 11A, Highway Dedication Bylaw 2009, number 7092-740 Selby Street. Is there any discussion on this one? Okay. 1 and 2, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're dealing with item B, LA 39 Entertainment Endorsement for Food Primary Liquor License, Manzavino Restaurant and Pizzeria, 77 Skinner Street. Staff recommendation is that Council, 1, deny the application to extend the closing hours of liquor service from 12 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. Monday to Saturday, and 2, approve the application to allow patron participation entertainment within the food primary licensed area. If there's a motion, we'll put it on the floor.
I'd move staff recommendations 1 and 2.
Okay, is there a seconder? Moved and seconded. Discussion? Councillor Holdham first.
Well, Your Worship, this recommendation happens to strike a compromise between the two delegations that we heard, and it also adheres to council and city policy in this area, so it seems pretty straightforward.
Good. Councillor Unger.
Thank you, Your Worship. I asked for a staff report earlier today of the food primary liquor licenses in Nanaimo. 23 of them close at midnight or earlier, and in the downtown area there are 11 that close at midnight or earlier. So having a midnight closing hour is not out of the normal for this particular establishment, and I vote in favor of the recommendations.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, question. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Kipp, was that a late draw or are you opposed? Opposed. You are opposed? Okay. So I have Councillor Kipp opposed, the balance of council in favor, and the motion passes. Staff recommendation passes. We're dealing with ZA 1-11- Parks Zoning. Staff recommendation the council consider giving first and second reading to Zoning Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2009, number 4000.455, which appears under the bylaw section of this evening's agenda.
Move staff recommendation.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Oops, sorry. There's Councillor Holdham, I beg your pardon. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm in favor of the changes that staff is recommending here, but I just wondered if there was a reason for not acting on the Westwood Lake Ravine issue, the naming issue. Is there? Do we have better information?
Your Worship, staff believe that while that distinction is obviously important to the delegation, staff don't believe it's significant to the bylaw, and the bylaw is very clear.
Thank you. Question.
Okay. Question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. DVP 146-6462 Peregrine Road. It's requested that the council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to DVP 146. Is there anyone here that would like to deal with the issues at 6462 Peregrine Road? Staff recommendation of the council to issue development variance permit number DVP 146 at 6462 Peregrine Road. Move and second. Okay. All move and second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. No. Steady on. DVP 147, 5912 Wallbank Road. It's requested council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to DVP 147. Okay. Move in second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The DVP 149, 2040 Boxwood Road. Staff recommendation that council direct staff to proceed with the required statutory notification of development variance permit number DVP 149 at 2040 Boxwood Road. Anyone with issues there? And failing that, does someone like to make the motion?
I'll move it.
Oh, sorry. We'll put on the. You'll move it, and then.
Your Worship.
Yeah, but we're going to get it on the table first, though. So.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Councillor Johnston.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I fear that this may set a precedent. In the beginning, when the parkway was established, there was a bylaw established that there would be no signage facing the parkway, and I wouldn't agree that this signage should be facing the parkway. The issue is the fact that the delivery people cannot find the perlator office. Well, I challenge in this day and age there's the use of GPS, and I think it needn't be a problem.
Okay. Any other discussion on the matter? Now, this is dealing with signage on a lot specific, I think, and just so for the benefit of those that don't have the information available that we do, is that there's a sign that's been built on private property that appears to largely face on the parkway, and the intent is not to allow advertising on the parkway. If the sign was positioned in a manner where it could be observed from the access road, I think it would be far more palatable. But that's the issue. And is there anyone else that would like to? Oh, no, there are some. Councillor Oldham.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Businesses are allowed to provide some kind of small notice sign that faces the highway, aren't they, under the bylaw? Through you to staff, Your Worship?
Your Worship, to Councillor Oldham, the bylaw in this particular circumstance says that signage is allowed to face the adjacent road, which is Boxwood, which again faces onto the parkway. So the definition in the bylaw allows the sign up to 5 square meters, and therefore it's quite a small sign that will be only visible from the highway in a very small degree. The applicant is requesting to triple that size to approximately 16 square meters.
Okay, thank you. And Your Worship, I think that I certainly support Councillor Johnson's point here. This is one of those bylaws I think we should not entertain variances for unless there's extremely exceptional circumstances, and this is certainly not one of them.
Thank you, Councillor Unger.
I just want to point out that this is not on the parkway or on any parkway right-of-way or adjacent to the parkway, but on Boxwood Road, which is straight back. And how far back would we want to go then and not allowing signage for businesses in that area, because as well in the industrial park there are a number of businesses that are adjacent to the parkway, but are not on the parkway right of way.
Well, that's a valid point, too, and I'm wondering whether an option may be to refer this back to staff to investigate this particular one, because I'm concerned about a precedent-setting decision now, and I really would like to personally feel that we look at this a little in more detail and make sure that the decision we're making, I think delaying it till the next meeting isn't going to be all that onerous, and yet at the same time, I'd certainly like to have more information available on it vis-a-vis the actual location of the sign relative to the parkway. If someone would like to make a recommendation or...
Do we not have a sign committee?
Well, there's a very good one for you. That please, Councillor.
Move we refer to the sign committee for a report and recommendation.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Padgett actually seconded. All in favor? Opposed?
The sign committee.
I'd be opposed.
Well, I think you're in conflict. You're both on the sign committee. Okay, so the motion...
So just a point of order, you didn't allow for any debate on that motion.
Okay, but...
yes, there is. You can debate a referral.
But on a referral motion?
Yes. So did you wish to allow for that? Or?
Well, we can if you wish, but I think that... I think Councillor McNabb may wish to make an observation at this stage here.
I got no problem with going to sign committee, and we've got a good committee, and I got no problem with it, but I do have a question. Wasn't this to do with the provincial government to be now signs close to the parkway? I believe that's what they wanted. That's what I seem to remember.
Your Worship, it certainly started in conjunction with the Parkway and the provincial government, but it was adopted through our development permit guidelines and signed by law locally once the Parkway opened.
I realize that, but didn't they insist on it or really got the ball rolling on this?
That more related to signage on the highway itself. This one, we don't require their approval to vary.
I think you're wrong. I won't argue with you.
Your Worship.
Question of motion.
Okay, now hang on. Councillor Oldham.
Your Worship, just on the matter of referring this to the sign committee, I guess perhaps we could consider that already passed, but I would just observe that that is a time-wasting and pointless reference. All that the sign committee would do would be to look at it, make a recommendation to council, and it's right back in our laps again. It's here now. Why don't we deal with it? The other point is that this company is certainly allowed the same sign privileges as everyone else. What they're asking for is a tripling of the signs simply so that they can get attention from the highway. And it seems to me that it's a clear issue. There's no reason for it to be committee studied to death. We should decide on it now.
Okay, Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. I concur with Councillor Oldham. First of all, the reasons that the applicant is giving here for wanting the tripling of the size is not a valid one, in my opinion. And secondly, as Mr. Swaby explained, these other ones that Councillor Unger may be worried about can be dealt with on an individual basis with a similar development variance permit. And so I don't see any point in referring this to the sign committee at this point.
Okay, did we actually do a vote on the referral? If we did, then we'll have to defeat it, if that's your pleasure.
Your Worship, just a comment is that, and certainly in my opinion, I recognize it was voted on. However, there was no opportunity for debate, as Councillor Oldham has said. So I think it would be up to the chair if you wanted to make a ruling to have a revote. That would be something that you could do. Certainly, you could be challenged by the rest of council if they didn't agree. But I think it's within your purview to make a ruling as the chair and ask for the support of the committee, of the council.
Okay, well,
Mover, I will move to reconsider the vote. That's mover first.
People in favor
of the like mind, okay. So we're now going to, the chair is just going to make a motion that, or just going to decide that didn't exist and there's no referral motion. So now we're getting back to to voting on the actual issue itself, and it's whether you support the sign on that location or do not. Question. You want to discuss something? Councillor Kim.
Yeah, I just want to refer more to, I think, what Councillor McNabb said. Way back when, a place far, far away, 93 and 96, when I was on council, one of the things we talked about was not the proliferation of signs along the parkway, so it becomes another Kingsway or another strip mall type of look to it. And I think we've done a good job up to this point of protecting sort of the integrity of that parkway. If we do allow the proliferation of huge signs, especially over our existing limit, I think it sets a precedent. I think we should turn this one down.
Okay, that is all the speakers, so we'll call for a question now. Those in favor? Oh, sorry, are you on here?
I am now.
Okay, well, first of all,
So
very slippery.
We're simply going back to the original staff's recommendation, whether you support it or don't support it. That's where we are.
Correct.
Thank you.
Now, did we have, Mr. Kenny, did you have an issue?
I was assuming that you would rule to re-vote on the motion to refer. And then if council had decided not to refer, then you would vote on the motion. But you've skipped that step. I have no problem with that either.
Okay, question, we're in favor.
Let's question on it. So could we now have an indication of those in favor of the motion? We have sort of one. Those opposed? Dip. What's this? Councillor Bestwick, you want?
Point of order, Your Worship. I think the mover of the motion to refer was willing to remove that from the floor. So I think that makes us okay with that. And the seconder. I think we have a motion now to say whether we will allow staff to allow the sign. If we say yes, and if we say no, staff will say no. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Thank you. Can we have the motion?
Has anybody moved this motion?
I think Larry did at one point. Didn't you move it?
I feel sort of the secretary.
Okay, so let's just start this thing fresh again. And there's a motion that, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The motion on the floor is staff's recommendation, is it not? Now, we either call for or against. Is that correct? I see all these head shakes, so I must be ready again.
Yes, there you go.
Question.
Discussion before the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
May I just ask staff to please give clarity on your recommendation as it relates to statutory notification for development variance permit? So your recommendation is?
Your Worship, the recommendation that Councillor McNabb refers to that's at the top of the report on page 156 is that Council directs staff to proceed with the required statutory notification for development variance permit number 149 at 2040 Boxwood Road. Now, if you defeat that, that's your indication that you're not supporting this variance to the sign, and that's perfectly okay. If you support the recommendation, then we proceed with the notification and it comes back for a final decision at the next council meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Everyone comfortable with where we're at? So, question on the motion. Those in favor? Opposed? Okay. I think it's once around the park.
I would move staff recommendation, direct staff to see whether required statutory notification to develop variance permit. I would so move.
You just voted on it.
Yeah,
but
you're doing a
recommendation. We voted against it, but now we have to vote on the staff recommendation, do we not?
No, I think it's a done deal. We're moving on to the next one. That's fine. We're going to do with our.
Let's move on to the next one.
It's RA 221-6057 Dumont Road. Staff recommendation that council consider giving first and second reading to zoning bylaw amendment bylaw 2009 number 4461, which appears under the bylaw section of this evening's agenda, and 2, direct staff to secure servicing right-of-way and community contribution to register a covenant to secure pre-development storm levels, erosion control plan, and prohibit gating of the property.
Move recommendations 1 and 2.
Well, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councillor, sorry.
Yeah.
Councillor
If I may refer to staff's recommendation on the blue pages 163. In the last paragraph, they state that there is no legislative requirement for the applicant to undertake a neighborhood consultation, but he did nevertheless. Do we have any idea how many of these neighbors were contacted? Okay.
Sorry, I don't have that information.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Andrew.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, question on the item on Dumont Road. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're going to go into unsightly premises, 1930 Island Diesel Way. It's requested the council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to unsightly premises at 1930 Island Diesel Way. Staff recommendation that council, pursuant to property maintenance bylaw number 1990, number 3704, and amendments thereto, direct the owners of 1930 Island Diesel Way to remove garbage, construction debris, miscellaneous debris from the premises within 14 days, or the work will be undertaken by the city's agents and the owners at cost. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to the matter at 1930 Island Diesel Way?
Move the staff recommendation.
Moved and second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Unsightly premises has been unresolved building deficiencies. Notice on title, section 5.7. It's requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to unresolved building deficiencies / illegal suites for the properties listed below. And the staff recommendation is that council, by resolution, instruct the Director of Legislative Services to file a bylaw contravention notice respecting the properties listed below at the Land Title and Survey Authority of in British Columbia under Section 5.7 of the Community Charter. There are 6 of them. The first one, 4210 Clubhouse Drive, building deficiencies, incomplete building permit to include a secondary suite. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to matters concerning 4210 Clubhouse Drive? The second item is 2855 Glenair Drive, building deficiencies, incomplete building permit for attached garage. Anyone here that would like to deal with the matter at 2855 Glenair Drive? The third one is 4915 Fillinger Crescent, building deficiency, incomplete building permit for exterior alterations. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to matters related to 4915 Fillinger Crescent? The fourth is 1642 Sheriff Way, illegal construction exterior carport wall. Anyone want to speak to matters related to 1642 Sheriff Way? The fifth is number 160 25 Mackey Road, illegal construction accessory building. Anyone like to deal here would like to speak to the matter at unit 160 25 Mackey Road? And the final one, number 6, is 50 Morgan Place, building deficiencies, incomplete building permit to enclosed carport. Is anyone here who would like to deal with the issue at 50 Morgan Place? Seeing none, I'll ask for the...
Move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Seconder, moved and second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Structural removal order, illegal secondary suite, 403 Victoria Road. It is requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to the illegal secondary suite at 403 Victoria Road. And the staff recommendation of the council pursuant to section 7.3 of the community charter hereby resolves that 1, construction has taken place to alter the basement and incorporate a secondary suite within the single family dwelling located at 403 Victoria Road and is considered to be in contravention of BC Building Code and Building Bylaw number 2003, number 4, say again 5693, and 2, the owner, agent, lessee, and occupier of the dwelling is hereby ordered to take the following remedial action within 30 days of receipt of this notice of this order. To remove cooking facility, wiring to the stove, plumbing for the kitchen sink, upper cupboards, and locking doors between the secondary suite and the rest of the house. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to matters at 403 Victoria Road? Hearing none, would somebody move? Seconded? Moved and seconded, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next one is structural removal order, illegal construction 580 Townside Road. It's requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to the illegal construction at 580 Townside Road. Staff recommendation of council pursuant to 73 Community Charter hereby resolves that the construction is taking place to build an addition to the rear of the single-family dwelling located at 580 Townside Road and is considered to be in contravention of the BC Building Code, Zoning Bylaw 1993, number 4000, Building Bylaw 2003, number 5693, and 2, the owner, agent, lessee, and occupier of the dwelling is hereby ordered to take the following remedial action within 30 days of receipt of this notice of this order: to remove the rear porch entrance addition from the single-family dwelling. Anyone here to wish to deal? Oh, madam, please. If you'd like to identify yourself and your interest in the property.
My name the house.
Okay.
I have a letter here that kind of is contradictory to what I was sent on July 15th. So on May 6th, I received a letter from the city. Do you want me to read it? Do I give it to someone? Or?
Well, this... Yeah.
Okay, we had a porch built, and then we were told that it wasn't to code, so they put a stop work order on it. And at that, we had an inspector come by and said it had to come to code. No one ever told us that it had to be coming down or it was anything like that. So the letter I have here says here that your application for the above noted permit received April 21st, 2009 is currently being processed. While performing the preliminary review, the building inspector has identified the following information or clarification that is required. Please be advised delay in submission of the required information will result in delays in the insurance of a building permit. So on September 14, 2006, a City of Nanaimo building inspector had attended my property at 580 Townsite Road after determining that work requiring a building permit was being done to the building. There are outstanding life safety issues which are required to be addressed regarding the rise, run of the stairs and the height openings of the stair guards which do not meet the 2006 building code. Before the building permit will be issued for a detached garage plan showing the rise sun of the stairs and the height openings of the stair guards for the front rear porches which meet the 2006 building code are required to be submitted. So I don't have, well it says here, I have enclosed section 9.8 stairs, ramps, handrails, and guards for my convenience.
Can I just ask you, what's the date of that letter again?
This is from May 6, 2009.
Okay.
This letter I received.
Okay.
So,
have you had discussion with staff about this?
Pardon?
Have you had any discussions with city staff about this?
Yes, I have. I spoke briefly with Mr. Tom Weinrich. And he had said that whatever is happening now is not what was the original complaint. So they're requesting the ripping down of these back stairs, which I have now has been put up to code through Rocksteady Restorations, because last winter, or the winter we just had, my shed collapsed, and before they would give a permit, I had to get these stairs up to code. So that has been done. This is my estimate of the cost of the stairs. So
okay, well, let me just ask you a question. We're getting a little bit confused here. What this issue deals with is to remove the rear porch entrance addition from the single family dwelling. Has that been done?
This is, they're talking about these stairs, and they're saying it has to be removed because they're not up to code. They are now up to code. The work has been done.
Okay. Maybe, could we get someone from staff to try to explain where we're at?
We've been dealing with this file since 2006, and the intent is either to bring it up to code, as the delegation mentions, or have it removed. We have an application in, but we're saying to the applicant they have to provide us further information or remove it. If the applicant is, as they stated, has brought it into compliance and all other requirements have been met, then we're in a position where we can get it resolved. But as I say, we've been working at it for 3 years, so I'm more than happy to talk to the delegation. If it's resolved, then it's no further issue. If it's not resolved, that's why we're bringing forward to council and asking to pass a motion.
Okay, and all the work has been done now, you're saying?
The work has been done.
By a contractor?
By Rocksteady Restorations.
I would like to say something.
Well, let her finish first. Sure. What's your name and your interest?
My name is Jeremy Anderson, and I'm her boyfriend. I need to clarify something. She missed a lot in what she just said, and so it doesn't really make sense to you guys. She received a letter that she just spoke about on May 6th saying that the stairs need to be fixed to be the proper height and everything like that. We contacted Rocksteady Restorations. They gave us a quote for $1,884 to do this. We employed them. I gave them a $500 check as a down payment. They started work on it. They got both the front and rear porch stairs up to code, and now we received a letter that this is happening, so we don't want it ripped down if we spent all the money to get the stairs up to code. Also, Mark at Rocksteady Restorations spoke to Mark Villette, and Mark Villette confirmed that that this wouldn't have to be all torn down if we pay Rocksteady to have it all up to code. It is all
Okay, when the work was done, did you contact the city right away and let them know you had done the work?
Mark from Rocksteady Restoration dealt with the city directly, so they were very much aware that the work was being done, because they would not issue a permit for my garage to be rebuilt that collapsed during the winter until this was done. So we're running out of time.
So we employed Rocksteady to get all the stair risers to code, and we were assured by Mark Villette to Mark at Rocksteady that if he did all the work and we pay for all this work, it's not going to be ripped down right after.
Your Worship, I think what's needed is we need to do an inspection.
Good point.
The contractor needs to call for an inspection. We'll go by and carry out an inspection. If it's not done and it can't be resolved, we'll bring it back at a future council meeting.
Okay.
Yes,
There has been people by to do inspections.
Yeah, there's something.
Well, they may have been, but that's why it's before council tonight, because there isn't an indication that it has in fact been done. So what the gentleman is suggesting to you is that what we should do is have somebody go by and view the construction and make sure that it's to code on that.
Okay.
Okay, so you can look after that, can you then? No, did you have a question?
Me too.
Okay. Councillor Padgett, do you want to go ahead with it?
Yes, I would like to move that if it's reasonable with staff, that we give both the delegation and staff 14 days to come up with a resolution to this. Is this?
Well, we can, but I would suggest it should just go back as referral, because I think, Mr. Seward, we're in a position where we just have to view this. Is this correct? Is it, or what would you like to suggest?
Well, the issue is the legal construction and getting it resolved. So there needs to be the permit clarification and that it's constructed and safe. So yes, we need 14 to 30 days to get this resolved. And if it's not resolved by the next council meeting, we'll put it on an agenda for that meeting.
Okay.
We need a motion there.
Well, there's some more people who have some questions on it, so we're going to go through. Councillor Unger.
Yes, my only question is with regard to all this construction going on and upgrading to code and everything else without a building permit. To staff, how does this come about when there is no building permit issued, there's illegal construction, and they bring it up to code, or they say it's up to code without inspection and keep on building without a building permit?
Mrs. Sweary?
Your Worship, I think this is the nut of the communication issue which we're hearing, is that they may have had a contractor do the work, but there's been no building permit issued, and we'll have to deal with the contractor to make sure he understands the process. But I do think that we need to resolve the confusion over what the permit is that they require, because it's more than stairs, it's a whole construction issue in the back porch. So we'll work with the applicant at council's discretion to remedy that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bestwick.
No.
Yes. Councillor Kipp.
I just want to make sure that if you have any inspections done, they usually give you a nice inspection sheet. Make sure you bring that when you talk to staff.
Okay, yes, I believe everything has been dealt with by Mark at Rocksteady and that the permit was issued to him.
Well, if that's in place, then
weeks.
if that's in place, you're okay.
Okay, well, if you'd like to deal with Mr. Seward on that one, he will be able to walk you through the process on that. And I think what we'll do is just...
Motion to refer?
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to now move into structure removal order, illegal secondary suites, 1735 Northfield Road. It is requested council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to the illegal construction at 1735 Northfield Road. Staff recommendation is pursuant to Section 73 of the Community Charter, resolve that construction is taking place to alter the basements and incorporate secondary suites within each of the lower floor of the duplex located at 1735 Northfield Road, and it is considered to be in contravention of BC Building Code, zoning bylaw number 1993, number 4000, and building bylaw 2003, number 5693. And 2, it always has to be a 2, the owner, agent, lessee, and occupier of the dwelling is hereby ordered to take the following remedial action within 30 days of the receipt of notice of this order: to remove cooking facilities, wiring for the stove, plumbing for the kitchen sink, upper cupboards, and locking doors from each secondary suite and the floor area of each basement amalgamated with the corresponding upper floor dwelling, returning the building to a two-family dwelling use. Is there anyone here that wants to deal with the matter at 1735 Northfield Road?
Move both staff recommendations.
Seconder, moving second, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Illegal grow operation with unresolved building deficiencies, number 80 5th Street, Mountain View Mobile Home Park. It's requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to the unresolved building deficiencies or grow operations at 85th Street. Every time we mention grow operations, you don't expect to see a flurry of hands saying they want to speak to it.
I will move the recommendation.
Okay, moving second, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. The corporate services, amendments to the traffic and highways bylaw, regulation bylaw number 1993, number 5000. Staff recommendation that council receive the report pertaining to traffic and highways regulation bylaw 1993, number 5000 for consideration later in the agenda. Seconder? Moving second, all in favor? It was carried. Community services, Princess Columbia View Utility Replacement. Staff recommendation that council award the contract for Princess/Columbia/View Utility Replacement for the low tender, Fournier Excavating, for the low bid of $974,970. Moved, seconded. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The information items only.
Second motion.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I don't think there's any coming out of that one. The reconsideration of bylaws, and we'll have acting mayor, which is Councillor Bestwick.
Thank you, Your Worship.
You're welcome.
Move that subdivision control bylaw amendment bylaw 2009 number 3260.01 to amend Schedule A Manual of Engineering Standards and Specifications be adopted.
Second motion.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That zoning bylaw amendment bylaw 2008 number 4000.447 to rezone a number of properties where the current zoning is significantly out of context with the official community plan. The new zoning will better reflect the direction provided by the official community plan be adopted.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Introduction of bylaws. The Traffic and Highways Regulation Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2009 number 5000.038 to correct a typographical error and to replace references to titles no longer in use with corporate officer. Pass first reading.
Seconder. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
The Traffic and Highways Regulation Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2009 number 5000.038 pass second reading.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried.
And the Traffic and Highways Regulation Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2009 number 5000.038 pass third reading.
Seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Introduction of development bylaws.
That zoning bylaw amendment bylaw 2009 number 4000.455 to rezone 3 park properties, a walkway portion and an area east of the parking lot of Westwood Lake Park to PRC 1, 5291 Entwistle Drive, Entwistle Park, and 5373 Fillinger Crescent, Springfield Place / Entwistle Parks to PRC 1, and 2043 Healy Road to PRC 2, pass first reading.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Oh, you have a question there, sorry.
Your Worship, I'm still not clear on why it is that we have not been able to act on the Westwood Ravine Park as requested by Mr. Taylor. It seems to me that when it first came here, an indication was given that it was not a big deal, so why can't it be done?
Your Worship, it certainly can if Council directs, and if Council feels they have directed, I apologize. I didn't realize that was the case. In my opinion, it isn't a big deal, and it's not necessary to be done, and the bylaw is clear. If Council doesn't agree, then Council can so direct.
Follow-up? Okay, was there was another name.
Well, in that case, I think I would like to make a motion that we rename that part of what is supposed to be Westwood Lake into Westwood Ravine.
Okay, there's a motion now that's on the floor dealing with this thing, and so we would have to. Are you suggesting referral, or are you just asking something else to be done?
I'm suggesting
we'll have to deal with it. It's on the floor now.
Amendment would be the way to go.
Why can't we pass this one and then he make a motion for the next one?
I don't think so. I think what we're dealing with here is there's one that's on the floor now. It's been moved and seconded, and if you want, and we asked if you wanted to refer, and you said no. That was your choice.
No.
Point of order, or point of information, I guess.
Sure.
I thought that was the other way around, isn't it?
Call it Westwood Ravine, and Mr. Taylor is suggesting that it all be Westwood Lake. I'm not sure. Maybe we could have some clarification from staff on just what the amendment is supposed to do.
It's my understanding, Your Worship, and I apologize for the confusion. I apologize that we haven't actually acted on this, that the renaming that Mr. Taylor is referring to doesn't apply to the properties that are subject to the zoning bylaw. But if it is or it isn't, I would just recommend that you refer it off to Parks and Rec, because it's only a naming on the Parks map that's of question, and have Parks and Rec make the recommendation.
Okay. I will then make a motion. Can I withdraw the early one I make and then make a motion?
I don't think we seconded it.
Nobody seconded it.
It died for lack of seconders. So I was going to say we've got to still deal with the one that's already on the floor here.
Yes.
And just correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Swaby, but did you say that this particular issue with the name at the lake does not interfere with this particular motion that's on the floor?
Your Worship, I don't disagree with that, but what's more important is it's not a land use issue at all. The zoning bylaw on the table is dealing with land use. The naming of the park is absolutely irrelevant to the clarity in the bylaw. The naming of the park, in terms of the city's advertising and how it's known is just a labeling issue on the parks map, and I would refer it off. But I don't disagree with you on that.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now what we could do is have the chairman of Parks and Rec take it under consideration for the possible change in name.
I will so move.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Okay. Do we have to? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Good. Okay. Carry on, Councillor Bestwick.
That zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 2009, number 4000.455, pass second reading.
Second motion.
Move and second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 2009, number 4000.461, to rezone the subject property from single-family residential zone RS1 to medium-density multiple-family residential suburban zone RM5 in order to permit a multi-family residential development, pass first reading.
Move and second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That zoning bylaw amendment, bylaw 2009, number 4000.461, pass second reading.
Move and second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That official community plan bylaw amendment, bylaw 2009, number 6500.005, general text and map amendments to the official community plan, bylaw 2008, number 6500, to maintain the effectiveness and accuracy of the bylaw be adopted.
Move and second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And lastly, that highway dedication bylaw 2009, number 7092, to dedicate real property for highway purposes at 640 Selby Street, pass first reading.
Seconder. All in favor? Carried.
That highway dedication bylaw 2009, number 7092, pass second reading.
Seconded. All in favor?
And that highway dedication bylaw 2009, number 7092, pass third reading.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you very much. The bylaw status sheet, number 16 is correspondence.
Move a sheet of correspondence.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Is there any issues? Councillor Johnstone.
Yes, Your Worship, I'd like to move that a letter be sent to the, in support of BCRPA's recommendation.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And yes?
Item B, as you know, I represent the city on the library board, so I'd like to move that the city write a letter as requested by the UBCM to address this funding issue.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Actually, the delegation has been pulled, and so we now move into the question period. These are agenda items only.
Just Fred to talk about the should have held that question period.
What is in a park name? The bylaw for use of park properties has parks named. The question I've been raising clearly identifies some of Westwood Lake Park that has a covenant on it, or a building, or a covenant. Westwood Ravine Park has no covenant. If you look at it, it's not protected by name. Westwood Park is. And that's the difference why I want to see the proper properties of Westwood Park named. It has had all the time 74 RW on it, and people come to you and say, can we buy it? Yeah, it's only a right-of-way. Go ahead and buy it. And we sell it. Why is 74 RW that I'm asking to be named been subdivided in the last couple of years in half again? Why? Why are we subdividing some Westwood Lake Park property that's got a covenant on it? What are you people doing? The staff. What are they doing? Are they out to sell it? The answer must be yes, or they wouldn't be taking the time to subdivide it. And it's protected by covenant. But we're hiding it, protected by covenant, by a false name, and by the covenant not on that title. It's on the master title of the park property. And that's why I'm standing here and keep standing here wanting a proper name put on it, not 74 RW, and not subdivided, which has been done in the last couple of years. The intention is to add it to the properties or whatever, to dispose of it. Something's up. And the only way that stops it is if you say that's Westwood Lake Park.
Point of order, this is supposed to be a question period?
Well, then why can I not have council agree to protect our parkland that's got covenants on it?
Thank you, sir.
Your Worship, just a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a question to staff. Could you please explain for my benefit what 74 RW represents as it relates to the naming of the properties that we didn't name that's being referred back to the Parks and Recreation Commission. However, I understand being referred back to Parks and Recreation Commission is only for in name only and really not substance as it relates to its protection.
Your Worship, I would strongly encourage Council just to let the referral go back. We'll bring back a report. I believe Mr. Taylor is quite emotional about lands that were actually sold by the city. It still probably retain the covenant on title that staff is not willing to recommend to zone as parkland because it's in private ownership. And I think that's the issue if I understand what he just said. But we can report back on that when we refer it to Parks and Rec.
Just to follow up, and the 74 RW property that is being referenced right now is not city property?
I think what's confusing the issue is that there's more than one property that Mr. Taylor is referring to. Some of it is owned still by the city, some of it is owned privately.
And so is what Mr. Taylor is making reference to that is zoned by the city now not protected, given what the passing of the motions that we just passed?
Councillor Bestick, I would not want to comment on what Mr. Taylor was actually specifically referring to because we seem to be confusing it, and I'd rather bring back a report showing all the properties and all the zonings and designations that apply to them.
Then the answer to my question is?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have offered in the past at the original writing of the bylaw to attend City Hall and discuss the matter with staff. It doesn't seem to be interested in the offer. Thank you.
Got a question?
Okay, I don't think there's any further business that anyone has, so that... Oh.
Promise not to take more than 2 minutes.
Okay, now remember this is the question. You can't make statements now. Remember, this is a question period.
Okay, well, just a little update, actually, just all positive.
Only if it's an update in the form of a question.
Yes, okay. John and I talked, we're going to cut our hours down from 9 to 8 to 9 to 7, and we've eliminated all the chainsaws. Everything will be electric, so there'll be no noise. You know what I'm saying? There'll be no chainsaws there. There'll be no noise. I could produce at the next council meeting an invoice from a local contracting firm that we've had 15 loads of drain rock put on there and graded to improve the place for parking.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much. That's all we can take now.
Still find it interesting that the gentleman was concerned about the sack safety of the children, not concerned